Hi there, my name's Sadia and welcome to Recipes for Littlies. Today I'll be showing you how to make my mum's chicken korma. My mum would make this for us often growing up, and now she makes it for her grandkids who love it. So I thought I would share this with you today. When you think of curries, you may think it has to be spicy, but this curry is very mild, flavoured with aromatics and kissed with the tiniest amount of spice. This is a home-style Bangladeshi curry that you won't find in a restaurant, so be sure to keep watching so you can see how it's made. This recipe also freezes really well, so when I make this recipe, I always freeze a few containers into the freezer, so I've got some for later. So this is how you make it. For this recipe, you'll need 8 medium onions, 3 or 4 pieces of cassia bark, 6 cardamom pods, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. For the ground spices, you'll need a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, a 1/4 teaspoon of coriander, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of chili, 2 teaspoons of ginger paste and 2 teaspoons of garlic paste. Try to use fresh ginger and garlic. I just use a micro grater to create these pastes. 2 tablespoons of oil, 2 tablespoons of ghee, and 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. 1/2 cup of yogurt and 1 cup of milk. You will also need about 2 kilos of chicken. Here I'm using 2 small whole chickens that I've asked the butcher to remove the skin and cut into 8 pieces. You could also use chicken thighs with the skin removed. In terms of equipment, you will need a large fry pan with a lid, a chopping board, a wooden spoon, and a sharp knife. An optional extra is to have a food processor with the slicer attachment. Any good Bangladeshi curry starts with a base of onions and lots of onions. So to start off with, we just need to slice these up. This is my least favourite bit of a curry. My eyes are already stinging. But it is essential, and you end up with a much more flavourful curry. I'm just peeling these onions. This is another task I don't really enjoy, but it's better than slicing the onions. Okay, so now I've peeled the onions, so these just need to be sliced. As I've alluded to, I get really watery eyes when I'm slicing onions, so I am going to be using my food processor. Okay, the onions are chopped and hardly any tears from me. So let's cook this curry. Pop your fry pan on a high heat, and once it's warmed up, you can add in your ghee and oil. Once the ghee's melted, pour in all those onions all in at once and give that a stir. We will be spending a fair bit of time frying down those onions. I'm just giving this a mix, and I'm going to add in the salt now, as this will help soften those onions and make this process a little bit quicker. So now I'm going to just pop on the lid and we'll leave this to cook on a high heat for about 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, so let's check on these onions. I can see the colour has started to change, so that's a good sign. The onions are becoming more translucent. So now's a good time to add in the whole spices. Here I've got the cassia bark and cardamom pods. If you can't get your hands on the cassia, you can add in the cinnamon quail. And here is the ginger and garlic paste. So I'm popping that in, and we'll just fry all of those spices and paste together. Next, we'll add in the ground spices. As you can see, we're adding in a very small amount of spice, as this is a very mild curry. Just going to give that a good stir, just releasing the oils from those spices. Next, we'll add in the yogurt and then pour in the milk. This will bring the temperature right down, so I've left the stove on a high heat. So I'm just giving this all a really good mix to make sure everything's nicely incorporated. And then I'm going to pop the lid on and let this simmer. So once the oil reaches the top of the onions, that's when you know it's the best time to add the chicken, because you've allowed enough time for that onion mixture to develop its flavors. I'm gonna add in the chicken, and then you just keep stirring this and keeping the heat on high. One thing you'll notice is that I haven't added any water. For this curry, you don't really need to add in any water. We're just wanting to fry up the chicken and then for the chicken to release its own juices into the sauce. Looking really good. You can see the chicken starting to change colour. I'm just going to pop on the lid and then let those chicken juices release its liquid. The chicken's been cooking for about 15 minutes on high. I can see the chicken liquid and the juices come out, so I just want to show this to you. There's a nice bubbling sauce going on here. You just want to give this a little stir. That will do. And I'm going to reduce the heat down to a medium and continue to simmer the chicken for about 30 minutes or until the chicken's cooked through. This chicken's been cooking on medium for about 30 minutes now, so let's have a look. That's looking really good. I can see that chicken is almost cooked through. There's a little film of oil on the top of the surface of the sauce, which is what you're looking for. That's how you know a curry is ready. One trick that my mum taught me was if the chicken starts to pull away from the bone, that's how you know that the chicken is cooked. So here I can see that has happened. If you want to be completely certain, you can also use a meat thermometer. The final ingredient, which is optional, is to add in half a teaspoon of sugar. And give that another final stir. Time to taste the curry. That tastes really good. I think it could do with a dash more salt, but otherwise all the flavours are how I'd like it. Hope you enjoyed my mum's chicken korma. If you'd like to see more recipes like this, let me know in the comments below. Here are my top tips. Number 1, use bone-in chicken, such as a whole chicken or chicken thighs, as it provides much more flavour. Number 2, let the oil rise to the surface before adding the chicken. And number 3, taste and adjust to suit your preferences. It's particularly important to ensure you have enough salt in the curry, as it enhances the flavour. Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any feedback or any recipe requests, be sure to leave a comment for me below, as I love receiving them. Until next time, keep cooking.